Hello and welcome to New Filmmakers Los Angeles. My name is Danny De Lillo. I'm delighted to be joined from LA to Toronto with Richard here with his fantastic film, An Uninvited Guest. For those that haven't seen it, let's take a look at a clip. Thank you so much for being with us today. Thank you for your film. For those that haven't seen it, tell us the brief synopsis.
Yeah, thanks for having me. It's great to be here. And so An Uninvited Guest, I like to describe it as a dinner party in the Twilight Zone by way of racial profiling and police brutality. It's a really short film, but it packs a punch.
It's mesmerizing. Like your style, the way it was shot, the actors were just phenomenal, and then the subject in which and the way you approach this in the horror that it actually really is. This goes on, in the United States, Canada, and across the world was such a great take on the brutality of it all. It was really fantastic. I mean, where did the inspiration come for you in deciding to make this project and making it in this style as well?
Yeah, that's a great question. The inspiration came in, I think, 2014, 2015, when we saw a series of horrific videos about police brutality, generally within the context of the United States. But yeah, I remember one particular video was playing on like this endless loop, and I was like sitting down to dinner and watching like the 6 o'clock news, and it just seemed like it was not stopping playing because it was just like they kept on repeating the clip throughout the newscast. And I think the very next day I basically wrote the script, which is fairly close to what the end product is right now. That's certainly when the inspiration hit me. I was fortunate enough that I managed to get a grant. We have something called the Ontario Arts Council here, and they were generous enough to support the film. From that little idea and from that awesome grant that I got, that's sort of what ended up on screen. And the whole time, it's funny because I think that as soon as I had the idea, I knew what the film was going to look like, what it was going to sound like. I even sort of knew what the acting style was going to be. It just felt so specific in my mind. When it came to post-production, putting all those pieces together, in a sense, it was almost preordained, but it was still a long process from start to finish, as any film is.
Absolutely. I'm just amazed that you did so much in like such a short film. Like it felt like a trailer for a feature. It really just had so much dynamic in there and so many different scenes, and I was like, wow, this is so wonderfully compact. Your actors, obviously they gave it all, but particularly your lead, I just thought had just a mesmerizing performance. You felt all of his emotion that was going through him, and he was brilliant, brilliant to watch because there's so much dialogue. So tell us a little bit about how you brought your cast together.
Yeah, again, a good question. It was funny. I was going to try to use non-union talent. That's like actually where I initially started my quest to find the perfect actors. And to be perfectly honest, I just couldn't find enough variety in terms of my talent. So I ended up like getting a casting director to have us try to find union talent. And that's really when we got a better audition process. So I was able to really, and it's a weird role for, I think, actors, because there is no dialogue. So even in an audition, it's difficult how you sort of give them direction on how they're supposed to approach this odd little film. But yeah, I was fortunate. We had a great casting director. He helped me audition these actors and get really the best out of them, even though, again, there are no words and they just have to like emote for most of it. And yeah, I had a lot of great options, and it was really a matter of, it's almost splitting hairs where you're like, who is the best actor for this role? And it was great to have so many options on the table. And again, if I hadn't had that Arts Council grant, I don't think I would have had the luxury of really having a more involved casting process. And then, yeah, just having those actors really, I guess, believe in the project was another huge key. Because again, I'm asking them, I think I'm asking a lot of them because I'm asking so little of them in terms of that dialogue piece, which I think, you know, helps people navigate characters. So it was an interesting process, and Richard Walters, you know, nailed it. He did even better than I thought he would do. And I mean, obviously that's what you always want from your actors. And I will say that for all the actors in the film, but yeah, especially Richard, I mean, more than I could have imagined.
Yeah, no, it really carried the film wonderfully well. I mean, I was like, wow, there's a lot of components in production, locations, you know, obviously, you know, scenes, running scenes always can sometimes be complicated, all those different aspects to it. What was kind of your experience, and was there any kind of challenges that you faced on the production?
Yeah, I'm sure every filmmaker tells you there were tons of challenges. Boy, I could probably spend the rest of the interview talking about challenges. I mean, one in particular, I really wanted a specific house because I wanted that window so that you could see clearly to the outside. So there could be that connection between the outside space and the inside space. And I had very specific ideas in mind, and I didn't get the house I wanted, but we had a great homeowner, which in some ways, when you're like an indie, when you're making like a short film and you need to like shoot at night, it was probably better having a great homeowner than necessarily the perfect location, because our homeowner was very accommodating and flexible, which took some of the pressure off of me. So yeah, the location, I don't know. There was a point where I was like, oh, none of these locations work. We can't do this. It's not going to happen. But you know, you get over those things and you're like, you compromise and you're like, okay, we will deal with this location and it will be great. And we will make all that happen. But there are other challenges like, you know, almost losing a location, like the day before the shoot, where we had this like problem with our permit for a city park. And I was just like, oh no.
Yeah.
But overall, I mean, there were hiccups and we overcame them. And yeah, I think the film works in spite of any problems along the road.
I'm so pleased that you made this film. I mean, you know, police brutality is disgusting, despicable, and particularly towards, you know, Black men. And I'm so glad that you made this story and kind of stylized it as a horror, because it is a horror show. Like, it's an absolute horror of what goes on and what takes place. And I just thought that was wonderfully articulated through unfortunate truth of what is existing. For you personally, was there anything that you kind of wanted your audience to sort of take from your film?
Yeah, I mean, for me, it really is more of a, I think, a conversation starter. Like I think the best reaction is for people to like be like, oh, what was that film about? Like, how is, like, really just trying to like dissect it and sort of try to understand what it means in their own personal context. I mean, for me, it's clear it's about the cycle of police brutality that we're all trapped in. But yeah, I mean, for me, it's more important that people have a conversation as a result of watching the film. Less so, you know, what the film is about itself. I think it's trying to provoke the audience into really just thinking about the state of racism and police brutality, and like really identifying that is a problem. And I think in 2020, which is coincidentally when the film came out, I think that conversation was starting to happen because of George Floyd. It just happened that my film was finished, you know, months before that. So in terms of timing, it was, I like to say, unfortunately well timed for the conversation people were starting to have. People were starting to wake up and, like, you know, notice this problem. So yeah, it's really about waking up and having that conversation.
And like you said, I mean, you know, this is obviously, you know, inspired from, you know, horrible events that you said in 2014 and 15. So, you know, it's not sadly something new, you know, as well. And we need to keep talking about and having conversation. But I again, aside from obviously the very desperately kind of sad, you know, situation that it takes place in this film, I fell in love with your style. Like, I love the way it was shot. I love the way it was directed. Like, I was like, please, can you give me a feature more than 3 minutes, please? Like, I need some more of Richard's work. What is next for you? What is next on the horizon?
Yeah, so your response isn't different than some other people on the festival circuit. A lot of positive reaction to the film, and people have been curious about whether there's like a feature-length version. And I think as a result of all of that response, I have actually written a feature-length version
Yeah,
of the
that's
film.
great.
It is different, but it certainly has a lot of the similar elements.
Mm-hmm.
And it will be interesting to see if that project gets off the ground, because you know how filmmaking goes. It's great to have a script and an idea, but to get a film made is something else altogether. But on top of that, I also have what I like to describe as a socially conscious creature feature. And it's sort of loosely based on the racial bullying I experienced in my teens living in a small town. And it's all about a little girl who conjures a monster to kill her bullies, which is, I like to describe it as not a Disney movie by any means, but it's more like, I don't know, Carrie meets the Babadook, maybe.
Wow.
It's a pretty weird one. So we'll
Yeah.
see. We'll see if that can get made. I'm pretty excited about that one too. So
yeah, well, listen,
busy writing and coming up with new scary ideas.
Yeah, wherever your imagination takes us, Richard, we'll go with it. I honestly, I love it. For you, so as a filmmaker, for our filmmaking audience, is there any kind of advice that you go by or share or try to incorporate into your, you know, artistic world? Is there anything that you could share with the audience?
Yeah, I mean, I think my advice, like for anyone out there who's a filmmaker or a budding filmmaker, is pretty simple. It's make a movie. And I know that sounds like, you know, like the simplest advice ever, but to me, it's like, I've made a bunch of short films. Like, this is not my first short film, and I may continue to make more short films. And I think it's just a great way to flex your creative muscles and try something different. Like, we could have made this film for $100 or $100,000. So really, it's a matter of you just sort of getting out there and doing it. And obviously, you know, your $100,000 film is going to look different than your $100 film. But if something's holding you back, or if you have an idea that's got you excited and you can't get that money, then you should still try to find a way to make it, even if you just shoot it on your iPhone. Because, you know, I think once you put that product together, at least people can look at it and say, it's good, it's not. I mean, one of the problems I think we have as filmmakers is we want things to be great. We want to be the next Spielberg, let's say. And I think that's a problem. I think, you know, you should be open to the fact that maybe not every idea you come up with will be a genius idea. It might not be a great idea, but sometimes you just have to make things and see how you can make them better. So you make a bad film, you will learn from that. You keep on making films. That's the best way to learn. So yeah, make films, make lots of films, fail. And definitely one of the things I like best is like, try to shoot like a 1-minute film. Don't try to shoot like a 20-minute film. Because if you can shoot a really good 1-minute film, well, you'll probably have more, I don't know, confidence to try that 20-minute film and to like try different techniques and really expand your vocabulary.
Oh, I love that. That's such good advice, Richard. It's really, really fantastic. Thank you for sharing all of that. But I mean, the greatness is your film was very short, but I won't ever forget it, because the context of the film and the way you shot it was just, I won't forget it. And, you know, the conversations that we all should be having as well. But listen, Richard, thank you so much for bringing your film to us. Everyone should watch An Uninvited Guest. It really is a fantastic film and very important conversations. And you know, I'm a big fan already. So thank you, Richard. Thanks for New Filmmakers LA, and keep making more movies for us, please.
Thanks.